Kindgergaten. Okay. Hello, good morning, everyone. Um, Good to have you, and good to good to have you on this platform. And good to share some thoughts with you. Actually, good to revise with you. All right. Yeah, my name is Basia Nietie. All right. And today we will be revising commas together. We will be revising commas together. I hope your preparations are in top gear, and I hope you've been solving some past questions, more of past questions. Because as the exam gets closer, what you need to do is what you need to be doing now will be to be solving as many past questions as you can lay your hands on. As many past questions as you can lay your hands on. That's what you really need to be doing presently. All right. And we'll also be doing that here too together. All right. But before we really jump into answering, treating past questions, I will just need to do, we will need to do a brief revision. A brief revision on introduction to commerce. Actually, what we'll be doing is we'll be revising some topics. After revising the topics, then we'll answer that are some questions that are related to the topics. And also do feel free because you won't be able to treat all the topics. You understand? You won't be able to treat all the topics. You won't be able to cover all the topics within this short period of time. Okay? But do feel free to your drop drop your own areas of interest, areas you want us to revise together, topics you want us to revise together. Do feel free to drop them, and we'll sure do justice to that. Okay, all right, and without taking much time, we'll be talking about what is commerce. What is commerce? On the slide there, you will see introduction to commerce, and at the end of the class, you should be able to define commerce, explain the scope of commerce, identify, list the functions, then describe what e-commerce is. As we are all very much aware, we are in the um, e-commerce age presently, right? The e-commerce age, and you must have been involved with it one way or the other, consciously or unconsciously. But actually, you should have been involved with it because present, I believe, yes, you should have been involved with it. All right. So when I said define commerce, explain the scope of commerce, identify the characteristics of commerce, list the functions, these are the things you must have been acquainted with. Do you understand? You must have been acquainted with them. So basically, what we'll be doing is just addressing key explanations, terms to take note of, the likes, and just to refresh your memory, and also attempt some questions afterwards. All right. Okay. Without taking much time, let's move to what is commerce. What is commerce? Yes. From the slide there, you see commerce can be defined as all the activities involved in the distribution, exchange of in the distribution and exchange of goods and services. Commerce. All the activities. All the activities. That means that what? When we have a product, be it goods or be it services, the next thing that comes to our mind is how do we exchange our product? How do we exchange it for things of value, for something of commensurate value? Okay? And that is when commerce comes in. Because while you're thinking of, remember, we all go into business basically to make profit, So while you're thinking of how to maximize profit from whatever product you are able to come up with or whatever service you are able to deliver, The next thing is, how do you go about it? What are the activities you need to get involved with in order to achieve that your goal? Remember, your goal of being in business, your goal of producing any product, of coming up with any product whatsoever, be it service, be it goods, is to make profit. Do you understand? The goal is to make profit. So then, how do you go about making your profit? How? What are the activities you get involved in to ensure that your goal is accomplished? Okay, that is when commerce comes in. That is when commerce comes in. As you can see, it is stated there that commerce is an sorry, okay, it is an important aspect of production. That means after production, even before production, commerce actually takes place. But it comes into full force after you have eventually come up um, with whatever product or service you wish to release into the market. All right, it is an important aspect of production which has to do with distribution, exchange of goods and services, and all the activities which enable trade. All right, I will give you the definition of trade as time goes on, as in the course of the class, But of course, right now you understand that trade has to do with an exchange, You give out what you have for what you think is of commensurate value to what you are giving out. Okay? In the area of trade by barter, you give out your goods, you give out your goods also. You give out your goods for you have your goods, you give out your goods for something, another good that you think is of commensurate value to what you're giving out. Okay? But after the era of trade by barter came in the advent of money, a standard medium of exchange. Okay, we also talk about that before you get to write your exams. So trade has to do with you exchanging your goods and your services for what? A standard medium of exchange. Okay, a standard medium of exchange. And when that is done, it facilitates the production process. It facilitates the production process to its eventual end. Yes, remember when I said facilitate the production process to its eventual end. The eventual end of production is when it gets to the final consumer. Okay, so just take note of that. So production involves three major activities. They are production, consumption, and exchange. Okay, I have actually been talking about activities, hyping it so much, but I haven't mentioned any of them. Okay, all right. So, these activities that enhance trade, that facilitate distribution and exchange of goods and services, these activities that enhance the completion of the production process are what you actually have been familiar with. They are what you have been involved with because commerce is what you do every day. It's what you do. It's what you are involved in consciously or subconsciously. All right. And these activities are referred to as hates. 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 Hates means facilitators of a thing. They are facilitators. They are also referred to as ancillaries. 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 So, and these ancillaries do one thing, which is what? they facilitate trade. They facilitate trade. And the essence of facilitating trade is to ensure that the production process is completed. Okay? All right, so let's move to the next slide. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, briefly, before we move to the next slide, the facilitators of trade are you have banking, banking, banking. It facilitates trade. Also, we have transportation. You will get all the explanations in the course of the class. Okay, I just needed to mention because I've discovered that I've mentioned it. Facilitators of trade and all of that, without actually giving you clues. Of course, you actually know about them anyway. All right. So we have banking, we have transportation, we have communication, we have tourism, we have insurance. How many have I mentioned? Okay, let's get to where we have them so I don't get to. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Next slide. The next slide. Okay, just a minute. Oh, sorry. Sorry. All right. So, can you pause it? Okay. All right. So, the still talking about the meaning of commerce. Can you pause it? You can't. Can you pause it? I was like, I guess you can mute it. Okay. Okay, mute. Okay. Yeah, hello. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that earlier. So what we were talking, I was only trying to make you. I was trying to mention the ancillaries to trade. You know, I told you that commerce has to do with all the activities, all the commercial activities, all activities that enhance, that facilitates what exchange and distribution of goods and services. And all these activities include banking, advertising, transport, warehousing, tourism, communication, and insurance. These are all the activities that enhance trade. Enhance trade. So commerce has to do with trade and all the activities. Trade and all the activities that facilitate the completion of the production process. Remember, the completion of the production process and also to make profit. Okay, because the reason why you produce is so that you'll be able to earn profit and also create wealth. Okay, all right. So let's continue with our slides. Let's continue with our slides. From what we have on our slide, from what we have on our slide, just a minute. Okay, okay, all right. So I've talked about the production, your activities. They have production itself, then consumption and exchange. Actually, production, exchange, and consumption. That should have been the proper arrangement. You produce, when you produce, you exchange. When you exchange, then consumption actually takes place. Okay, so all right, so let's proceed. The central focus of commerce is exchange. That is the central focus. You exchange something of value to you, to another thing that is of commensurate value to you. That means you give out something of value to receive something of value in return. That is when exchange comes in. So the central focus of commerce is exchange. Exchange. All right. Exchange is a transfer of goods and services from the producers to the customers. Exchange is a transfer of goods and services from the producers to the customers. If you see, as you can see there, the producers are those that initiate the production process, while the customers are those that end the production process. In between the initiation of the production process and the completion of the production process are is a series of commercial activities. A series of commercial activities. You will need to use money, isn't it? That's when banking comes in. The producer will need to move the commodities produced to where it is needed. That is when transportation comes in, right? All right. Then you will also need to create awareness. You will need to create awareness about the goods that he has come up with, because it is the creation of the awareness of these goods and services that helps to ensure that the process continues to the expected completion. Yes. All right. To the expected completion. All right. So between the initiation of between the initiation of the process to the completion of the process are a series. Sorry, the use of bunch. A series of activities, trading and commercial activities, series of activities to ensure that one leads to the other. I mentioned earlier, bank, you need money. I mentioned also transportation. The goods have to move from one location to the point of production to where it will be needed. Also, communication. There has to be communication, right? There has to be communication between the producers and consumers. What is needed, when it is needed, and how it will be moved to where it is needed. Okay? So communication process. There has to be a back and forth communication with the right feedback. Okay? All right. Then we'll talk about, I've talked about transportation, I've talked about communication, then advertising. 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 Advertising has to just do with creating awareness. You create awareness for this. And when you create awareness, what do? You stimulate demand. Okay? When you create awareness for a product, what do? You stimulate demand. And when you stimulate, and when exchange takes place, what happens next? Consumption is most likely is definitely going to take place. And once consumption takes place, the production process comes to a completion. All right. So let's proceed. You'll get the details over time in the course of the class. Okay. So the central focus of commerce is exchange. Exchange is the transfer of goods and services from the producers to the customers. Okay, from the producers to the customers. Commerce involves and plays utilities, time, when it is produced. That's the time when. Then where it is needed. That is the place. The utility there is just the utility there. The utility you find there is satisfaction. Okay, the satisfaction gotten. There's a satisfaction gotten at the point when something is produced, and there's a satisfaction gotten at the place where you understand. Commerce involves that. Okay, and commerce evolved as a result of specialization. Specialization. You must have heard of what specialization means, as the name implies specialization. What you specialize on? Do you specialize on? If I specialize on producing books, definitely someone else will be specialized on producing pen, right? And when that person does that, how we need pen, and the other party also we need my products, which are books. Do you understand? So series of activities will take place, and that is when commerce comes in. Series of activities to facilitate exchange. The key word there is exchange. Exchange. All right. Exchange. All right. So the scope of commerce may be said to embrace the totality of the activities that ensure the distribution. The totality of the activities. The totality of the activities that ensure the distribution and exchange of goods and services in order to generate satisfaction. There you see the word satisfaction there. Again, I mentioned it earlier when I said place utility and time utility. So the essence of production is to what? Create satisfaction. Create satisfaction. To generate satisfaction. And when you generate satisfaction, it has to be well received. It has to be received. You don't just create it without it being received. It has to be received. So the process of it being received at the receiver's end is what commerce entails. Okay. All right. So the scope of commerce may be said to embrace the totality of all the activities. The totality of all the activities that ensure the distribution. You will discover that all of these activities are all intertwined. One leads to the other. You cannot do one in isolation of the other. You get? You understand? Okay. So, an exchange of goods and services in order to generate satisfaction. Commerce embraces trade and the ancillaries or aids to trade. I mentioned that earlier during the introduction. Trade and the ancillaries or aids. Aids are facilitators of trade. All right. Okay. So then we move to characteristics of commerce. Characteristics of commerce. The first one is economic activity. Economic activity. Commerce on its own is an economic activity. It is an economic activity because it entails buying and selling. Buying and selling of goods. Buying and selling of goods and services. That process of buying involves what? Money. The process of buying involves money. The process of buying involves money. So when we say something is an economic activity, it means that there is an exchange of goods and services for things of value, things of monetary value, things of monetary value. Before the advent of money, things of commensurate value. That's under trade by barter. Okay, coincidence of wants. All right. So trading is expressed in monetary terms in order to earn profits and create wealth. Earn profits and create wealth. You don't just get involved in some activities just because you need to provide. You don't provide free services, as it were. Okay, not that doesn't mean that there are no structures or organizations that provide free services. We'll get when we come to organizations. Okay, we have statutory organizations. Those organizations are owned by government, and their essence is to provide free services, as it were, although it's not actually very free because you need to pay taxes. You understand? All right. So economic activity are common activity because it is expressed in monetary terms. And the reason why it is expressed in monetary terms is because you want to earn profit and create wealth. You want to earn profit and create wealth. All right. So we move to profit. Okay. I mentioned that in the previous point. Economic activity. You know, you are engaged in it basically to earn profits. Yeah. So the next one is profit. The purpose of you being in business is to make profits. So the purpose of making profits drives the engine of commerce. The purpose of making profits drives the engine of commerce. You get involved in activities basically because you want to make profit of it, right? Because you want to make profits of it. That's the reason why you get involved in activities, in business activities, in trading activities, in exchange activities, in in exchange activities, in production activities. Okay, all right. So the next one is marketing. Marketing. It involves the exchange, distribution, and promotion of products. The key thing there is what? Promotion of products. Promotion of products. Promotion of products. After the production has taken place, the next thing is to what? Promote it. Bring it to the awareness of the targeted audience. Targeted. Because under marketing, we have what we call market penetration, market segmentation, and the rest of them. Okay? All right. So you bring your products to the awareness of your target audience. You want to make them know that social product is around, social product is available. It's available. And what does it do? It stimulates demand. Okay? It stimulates demand for it. And when that is done, the next thing is what? Exchange is bound to take place. All right. Then another characteristic of commerce is that it is a component of business. It is one of the components. It is one of the components of business. Just like the manufacturer produces, okay? The manufacturer is involved in production. Another department or another component will have to take up the finished goods or the products made available and disseminate them to and distribute them to wherever they are needed. Okay, distribute them to wherever they are needed. Oh, I've not mentioned something. Warehousing. Warehousing. Warehousing is also one of the 8 facilitators of trade. Okay, warehousing is one of the facilitators of trade. It in helps in the controlling the production of goods. It helps in controlling the production of goods to ensure that you don't run out of stock. don't run out of stock, and that you you have your products when they are needed, even before they are needed, before they are needed, before they are needed, and when they are needed. All right, you will get more details as time in the course of the class. The next one is utility. Another major characteristic of commerce is that it creates place and time utilities to satisfy consumer needs. Place and time utility to satisfy consumer needs. Okay? All right. Then we move to what is trade? Trade. What is trade? I seem to have even overflogged the meaning of trade because I've mentioned it over and over and over and over again. Okay? So trade is the act of buying and selling of goods and services. It is a very important aspect of commerce. It is a very important aspect of commerce. Why is it very, very important? Why is it a very important aspect? Because you cannot produce and just leave it somewhere. You can't. When you produce, the next thing is you want to distribute it. You want to disseminate. You want to ensure that it moves. It moves immediately to where it is needed. To where it is needed. It moves. If any lag in time, of course, could lead to you incurring losses, which you don't want to, which you wouldn't want to happen, right? Okay, so it is very, very important. It's a very, very important aspect of commerce. We are involved in it every day. Every day, every now and then, we are involved in it. Exchanging, you buying and selling. Buying, you buy a product, you buy and you sell. You buy in order to derive satisfaction, and you sell in order to earn profit. To earn profit. All right. So while trade is simply buying and selling of goods and services, commerce covers all the activities involved in the distribution and exchange of goods and services. So that means while trade is more or less like an aspect of it, commerce covers all the activities that are involved in the exchange of goods and services. Mind you, trading itself is an exchange is an exchange process, right? It's a process of exchange, rather. Trading itself is a process of exchanging goods and services for things of commensurate value. So let's move to the next. Types of trade. Types of trade. Types of trade. Types of trade. Trade is classified into two major groups. We have the home trade and we have the foreign trade. I think those names already give out the meanings, right? Home trade and foreign trade. Foreign trade means something that is done outside of the territorial boundaries of a state, of a country, rather. Yeah. Outside of the territorial boundary of a country, of a nation. Trades that involve trades that takes place outside, or that involves an interaction between nations of different territorial boundaries. Of course, nations have different territorial boundaries. Okay, all right then. So foreign trade has to do with you moving outside of your territorial boundaries, okay, and interacting with other other countries, other nations. Okay, while home trade are trades that take place within, mind the word, within, while the other one is outside, within your territorial boundary. The geographical, it has to be geographical and territorial too. Territorial boundary. Okay, so one happens within while the other happens outside. So home trade is the act of buying and selling of goods and services within a geographical area. Okay, what I have here is, what I have here on the slide is home trade is also known as domestic or internal trade. That means what happens within, the word internal, within. Okay? It is the act of buying and selling of goods and services within a geographical area of a nation. Yes, within a geographical area of a nation. Okay? And it has two major aspects. It has two major aspects. You call it branches, yes, and you can also call it types. It has two major aspects, and they are wholesaling and retailing. Wholesaling and retailing. What is wholesaling? Wholesaling is the process of buying goods in large quantities from the producers and making them available to the retailers in small quantities. The act of buying goods from the producers in large quantities, in bulk, large in quantities or in bulk from the producers and making them available to the retailers in what? In small quantities. Okay? The retailing on the other hand is concerned mainly with buying goods. Okay, just like you have heard from my previous explanation of wholesaling. That means retailing is the process or the act of buying and the act of buying goods in small quantities from where? The wholesalers. Okay? From the wholesalers. So retailing is concerned mainly with buying goods in small quantities from the wholesalers and making them available in units. Yes, they make them available in units to who? The consumers. They make them available to the consumers. The wholesaler makes it available to the retailers, in small quantities, while the retailers make the goods available to the consumers in what? In units. And that helps to fast track the completion of the production process. The fast track facilitates. Of course, so many activities are involved there, right? Banking activities are involved there. Communication activities, transportation, warehousing, okay? Warehousing, advertising, okay? All right, so the retailers make the goods available to the consumers in units, okay? And the retailer is the final link. I don't want to wait because, of course, we don't have all the time, okay? That's why this is supposed to be a topic on its own. It's supposed to be a major point of discussion. As we are doing revision, I also need to just bring them in. As you can see, it's not indicated on the slide, right? Okay, but just take note of all of these additions. All right. Okay. So the retailer is the final link, the final link on the production, on the production, on the is the final link when it comes to completing the production process. I said production process. Okay, it depends on the context. Okay, but it is best to use the production process. Okay, but when you use the word production line, that means you're like, yeah, you are restricting yourself to the to the manufacturer. Okay, okay, all right. It's another term on its own, though. It's another term on its own. So let's make use of production process. Okay, all right. So the retailer is the final link in the chain of distribution. The chain of distribution. When it comes to you distributing the products to the end users, the retailer is the final link on that chain. All right. So we move to foreign trade. Mind you, we're talking about types of trade, right? Foreign trade. Foreign trade. Foreign trade is the buying and selling of goods and services beyond the geographical boundaries of a country. Okay? It has to do with buying and selling of goods and services beyond. I said outside earlier, beyond has come in now. The key thing is that it involves nations. It involves different territorial boundaries. Okay? Different national. Of course, we have state boundaries. Okay? Different national territorial boundaries. Take note. All right. So, and it is divided into export, import, and entry port. Entry port. Export, import, and entry port. Okay. Another name for foreign trade is international trade. Okay. International trade, bilateral trade, bilateral trade, or multilateral. When you hear the word bilateral, that means you're talking about two national boundaries. Interaction between two national territorial boundaries. Okay? But when we talk about multilateral, that means there are more than two. Bi means two, multi means more than two. Okay? Multilateral, bilateral. All right. So we move to export. Okay, I said we have the foreign trade is divided into three: export, import, and entry port. Export is the sales of goods. Export is the sales of goods, and the goods can be raw or finished. Okay, it can be raw or finished. The sales of goods, just like for instance, Nigeria selling crude oil to China. Crude oil itself is raw, isn't it? It's raw. The raw material. It's a raw material. Well, okay. Well, if we had a working system, I don't know. Okay, will it be out of place? No, it won't be out of place. It's not out of place. If we had a working system, we wouldn't be selling out crude oil. Rather, we will process it. Because by the time you process your raw materials, what happens? Value increases. You get it? Value increases when raw materials are processed. Each level of processing increases value, adds value to it, adds value to the product itself. But by the time you sell out the raw materials, of course, when we're talking about international trade, you are selling out raw materials and finished products. raw materials and finished products. So let us keep it that way. All right, before we become political analysts. All right, all right. Um, so that's that. So we have so foreign trade has to do. Sorry, export has to do. Export trade has to do with selling goods, selling goods, the sale of goods, both raw materials and finished goods to other countries, to other countries, to other countries. And what happens when this happens? You get your payment. Payments are made in what? Foreign currencies. You get your payments in foreign currencies. Okay. Export trade can be visible or invisible. Export trade can be visible or invisible. That is not part of what we have here, actually. I just need to point that out. It's not always your it's not is export trade doesn't necessarily mean you are selling physical products. Physical products. Do you understand? Doesn't necessarily mean you're selling physical products. It also involves you selling non-physical products. Non-physical products. And the non-physical products could be services. No, not could be, are actually services. Okay? Actually services. Services. You render services to other nations and you get paid for it. Okay? Just like you render services within your country and you get paid for it, you also render services to other nations and you get paid for it. Okay? And some of these activities could be aviation, could be banking, and among many others. Okay? All right. And we have import. Import is just the opposite of the export. Opposite of export. Okay? You buying goods and services from other countries. Okay? Buying goods and services from other countries. From other countries. Just like you sell to other countries, you also buy. So one is you buying, the other is you selling. Okay? All right. And it also, the goods there also can also be visible and invisible. Okay? Visible and invisible. You buy electronics, you buy electronics from other countries, you buy automobiles from other countries, among others. So the next one is, the next type of foreign trade is entrepot. 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 Entrepot is a process of importing goods for the main purpose of re-exporting to other countries. You import the goods for the main purpose of re-exporting them. Just like, for instance, I import laptops from China for the purpose of exporting them to Ghana or Cameroon or to any other country, to South Africa. So it's coming into Nigeria, not necessarily because it is for the Nigerian market, as it were. Rather, it's coming into Nigeria for the purpose of going in to another country, say Ghana, China, Ghana, Cameroon, or any other country. Okay, but the idea is you import for the purpose of what? Exporting. You import for the purpose of re-exporting it. You import for the purpose of re-exporting. All right, so that's that. So now, okay, the much talked about aids to trade. The much talked about aids to trade. Okay, you must have had a very good understanding of what aids to trade are by now, right? Because I've actually mentioned it countless times. The first one there. Okay, let me get that. These are the commercial activities which facilitate the process of buying and selling. They facilitate the process of buying and selling. Before you can buy a product, what do? You need money. And who does that? What part of what aspect of what activity facilitates that? The banking activity. Banking that facilitates the availability of funds. The availability of funds to fast track the buying and the selling process. Okay, and the banks are the financial institutions that make funds available to assist people. Of course, that's a very known thing. The banks are involved. The banks are the financial institutions involved. They make they make funds available in form of loans and overdrafts. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get when we'll get to we'll get okay no needless. They make funds available in form of loans, forms of loans and overdrafts. Okay, when loans are made available, who are those that receive the loans? Industries, manufacturing organizations. They receive loans to engage in large scale production process. Okay, all right. Then we move to transportation. Transportation facilitates movement of raw materials from the points of from their points of creation or from their points of availability. Let us say, okay, creation availability could be interchangeably used depending on the context. So you move your raw materials from the point, from their natural state or from their natural environment to where they will be processed, where they will have to undergo some some processes that will enhance them and add value to them. Okay, transportation does that. Transportation does that. Move the goods when the goods are move the goods from their natural environment to their to the to the environment where they will be where they will be processed. And when they are processed, it moves from there to where they will be temporarily stored. Temporarily stored. Mind the word temporarily. And that is associated with what? Warehousing. Okay? Warehousing. Temporarily stored until they are needed or demanded. Okay? All right. So transportation facilitates is that part very, very self-explanatory. It facilitates movement. Then the next one is advertising. Advertising. Advertising facilitates the creation of awareness. Creation of awareness of the product. When you come up with a product, the next thing is you want the whole world to know about what you have created. You want the world to know what you have produced. Okay? And what activity facilitates that? Advertising. Advertising. And we are in the world of social media now. In just split seconds, you could you could send you could create massive awareness about anything whatsoever. All right. So we have advertising. Advertising facilitates creation of awareness of a product. Then the next one is warehousing. I mentioned it earlier, where goods are stored temporarily until they are needed. Okay? That means they are stored temporarily. And when they are stored temporarily, it helps to regulate that process of production. It helps to regulate production itself. It helps to regulate that, such that you don't run out of stock when they are most needed. Okay? And when you overproduce, you have a place you can temporarily store them and make room for further production activities on your on your on your on your platform, your production platform. So the next one is communication. Communication facilitates easy transmission of information. Information is key here, right? Information is key. If you don't know about something, you won't make any decision about it, right? You won't make any decision about it. So advertising creates awareness and does that through all the communication facilities available. Okay, and when that is done, that's what we call feedback. So when you send the information, you receive a feedback, and that feedback also has a way of facilitating necessary lines of action, okay, geared um, towards completing the distribution chain and completing the production process. So the next is insurance. Insurance facilitates protection against losses. Of course, many organizations, or many producers get scared of getting involved, of launching any form of launching some forms of production processes. Why? Because they are scared. They are scared. How will the products be received? What happens when I try to move the raw materials from their natural size to where they are needed for processing? What happens when I move them from the point of production to where I will store them temporarily? That's the warehouse. There are fears, these innate fears. So there are these innate fears. What insurance does is that it helps to alleviate. I use the word alleviate. Yes, it helps to reduce the intensity of the fear. Okay, yeah, the intensity of the fear, which is of course risk. Okay, it helps to reduce the intensity of the risk factors involved. The intensity of the risk factors involved in the process of production. Okay, so it facilitates protection against losses. Then we have tourism. Tourism. Tourism facilitates the creation of trading opportunities. Okay, uh, you, some of you could possibly be saying, how is tourism part of an activity, or part of the activities that facilitates exchange? It's very clear. You must have heard of Carnival, Calabar Carnival. Okay, you must have heard that countless times. Calabar Carnival. What does that do? It brings people from all walks of life, from all nationalities, from different nationalities rather, from different nations. It brings different nationalities to a particular location. Okay? And when they all converge there, you get to see things. You get to see items. You get to see items they have never actually, products, let me use the word product. You get to see products they've not actually come across. Okay? And by interacting with these products, possibilities of moving these products to their destination will prop up. Okay, and when such props up, what happens? There will be exchange. Goods will be taken, goods will be bought, rather, goods will be bought, and payments will be made. Okay, and that could result into massive international trade. You understand? So tourism alone itself facilitates creation of trading opportunities. When people converge at a point, when when there's a convergence of people, remember we all have needs, right? Our wants are unlimited. Our wants are unlimited. What you might need something now. You might a particular need might be accomplished now, but by the time you move to another location, another geographical location, the location has its own peculiarities, has its own peculiar products, has its own peculiarities, yes, because it covers a whole lot. And you get to discover new things, things that you need for yourself, one, or things you think will be needed by people you know of, people you know, or locations you know of. Do you understand? So that convergence alone itself creates the platform for you to discover new products, and the likes. Okay, so let's move to function of commerce. Function of commerce, we have mass production of goods and services. Okay, mass production of goods and services with the availability of loans to producers through the banking, through banking activities. Okay, producers can increase their their level of production. Okay, and also with the availability of a place where a suitable place where they can temporarily where goods produced can be temporarily stored. Okay, that also that also will boost mass production of goods and services. So the function of commerce is commerce enhances mass production of goods and services. That's quite very self-explanatory, right? Warehousing allows for that. Warehousing allows for that. Warehousing, banking, those two are very, very key when it comes to that. Then we talk about raising of capital. Of course, that is banking. Banking. Then employment opportunities. Employment opportunities. That is very, very self-explanatory, I suppose. I believe. I want to believe, yes. Because when you are, the process of marketing involves you deploying people, okay, that will bring in their skills, their persuasive skills, and the likes to make people get to know about the product and to convince people to want to buy. Okay, so all those are employment opportunities that come up. Massive employment opportunities when you produce goods and services, of course. When you're trying to exchange goods and services, when you're involved in trades to make profit and all of that, those are massive employment opportunities just evolving. Massive employment opportunities. So the next one is transport. Transport. Functions of commerce. Functions of commerce, that's transportation, transport. Hold on, excuse me. All right. So it it helps. It helps in transporting people, goods from one point to another point. Another function of commerce is that it helps in the improvement. It 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 brings about improvement in standard of living. It brings about improvement in standard of living. When you have the accurate knowledge of the product, when you are able to get that gives you satisfaction, when you're able to move from one place to the other, when you're able to raise capital, of course your standard of living will be improved. Okay, will be improved upon. All right. So the next one is it allows for exchange of goods. It helps in the exchange of goods and services. Okay, that's very self-explanatory. I've mentioned that over and over. Then creation of public awareness. Creation of public awareness that is associated with what? Advertising, right? Okay. Then risk bearing and risk management. Risk bearing and risk management. Through insurance activities, risks are minimized, okay, to the barest minimum. Okay. Then warehousing function, of course, you know what that means. As um, it helps in it helps to create temporary temporary um, temporary locations, or it helps to create locations where goods can be temporarily kept until when they are needed. Okay. Then it fosters unity among nations. Of course, that is international trade. When you do trade and there's a mutual benefit two between two countries, what happens? They will want to maintain that unity. They will want to maintain that mutual benefit. And that mutual benefit will help to foster unity among nations. Another one is that it links buyers to sellers. It links buyers to sellers. Tourism does that, you know. Tourism does that. Tourism does that too. Then creation of wealth for nations. Of course, you just like I mentioned earlier, you get into business because you want to earn profit and create wealth. Earn profit and create wealth. All right. So we move to that is that on commerce. Okay. I think there's something I need to quickly rush over. Differences between home trade and foreign trade, just in case time doesn't afford us to actually take it up as a major topic for discussion. The first one is that goods are moved beyond geographical boundaries. The differences between home trade and international trade. Goods are moved beyond geographical boundaries for foreign trade, while goods are moved within the same country for home trade. Then the next one is different countries, different currencies are involved, are used in foreign trade. Different currencies. Say, for instance, you are in Nigeria and you want to do trade with someone in China. What do? You need to convert your naira to the Chinese yen, to yen, right? Yes. All right. But you may not actually have a platform to do that direct exchange, that direct conversion, rather, direct conversion of naira to to yen. What you have to do is pass through a major international currency, and in this case, the US dollar. That's the major denominator, the major denomination used. So you convert your naira to dollar, to US dollar, and from US dollar you can use it to get whatever you need to get from China. Okay, so that means how many currencies are involved there? Three currencies. Naira is involved, the yen is involved, and the dollar. is involved. All right. So the next, okay, while in the home trade, what do? Only one currency is used. The next one is there is language barrier in foreign trade. There is language barrier in foreign trade. Just like from the example I just mentioned, you want to buy goods from someone in China. What do you need to do? You need to learn Chinese. You need to learn Chinese. And if you don't learn it, if you don't understand Chinese, that means that trade it won't be as smooth as you would have loved it. There's a tendency that you feel unsatisfied, that sense of dissatisfaction. And when you have that sense of dissatisfaction, that means there is a problem somewhere. Okay? There's a problem somewhere. While in home trade, there is no language barrier at all. Then the next one is more complex documentation is required in foreign trade. We are really going to talk about that. We'll talk about that seriously because those are questions come out from that part from uh, documents being used. We have the bill of lading, we have the consular invoice, we have all of them with them. Okay, we will ensure that we treat all those documents, the documentations needed for foreign trade. Okay, all right. So in foreign trade, complex documentation is required, while in home trade, it's not. It's not at all. Less documentation is required in home trade. Then we also have different social standards, rules, and regulations are used. Different social standards, rules, and regulations. Mind you, countries have their own different way of life, culture, right? And that informs that there will be different social standards and rules and regulations can also set in there. Just like, for instance, you want to trade with somebody in United Arab Emirates. Okay, all right. So you know that there's one a religious there's a religious it's not a barrier. It's not a barrier. You need to take note of the acceptable religious behaviors. Do you understand? So that by the time you get there, you don't violate that. Because if you are caught in violation of that, even when it is subconsciously, it's going to affect your trade. It's going to affect your business. Do you understand? All right. So different social regulations and rules are involved in foreign trade, while that is not applicable in home trade. Then transportation. Transport cost is high, very, very high. Of course, very, very high. It costs much. It costs more to move your products from one geographical location, territorial geographical location, to another. Do you understand? Okay, you go through ship or you go through flight and freight. Okay, so we move to, all right, foreign trade is subject to restrictions. Yes, foreign trade is subject to restrictions. Foreign trade is subject to restrictions. There are some goods that you cannot move to other countries. There are goods that are not permitted to be moved from one location to another location, from one country to another. Okay, there are restrictions, and there are some kind of, yes, goods you are not permitted to move actually. Yes. All right. While in home trade, goods move freely. Goods move freely. All right. So let's move to what we call e-commerce, electronic commerce, electronic commerce. Please, if there's any question, kindly feel free to drop it in the Google Classroom and to be well attended to. Okay. So we have e-commerce now. electronic commerce. Electronic commerce. This is a type of industry where buying, selling, and distribution of goods and services are conducted over electronic systems. Okay, kindly take note. There was a typographical error here. It's not over. All right. Services are conducted over electronic systems such as the internet and the computer networks. The internet and the computer networks. Of course, in the past 5 years, electronic e-commerce has really, in the past 5 years, the activities of e-commerce has increased tremendously. Most activities, especially with lockdown coming in, with the COVID-19, yes, with the COVID-19 that came in, it also made e-commerce. It made us see the tremendous possibilities, advantages, both in advantages and disadvantages too. Yes, made us see the various possibilities, the tremendous possibilities available in e-commerce. Okay, as a matter of fact, this service presently now is what? It's e-commerce, isn't it? You are receiving a service over the internet, right? You are receiving a service over the internet. All right. So it's a type of industry where e-commerce. That's e-commerce is basically the sales aspect of e-business, rather e-business, electronic business, e-business. So division of e-commerce, we have e-retailing, electronic data interchange, email and fax, the use of web, graphical error here, online marketplaces. All right, let's talk about the e-retailing. E-retailing, that's where we have virtual storefronts. E-retailing, you must have heard of Jumia, Konga, and the rest. So many, eBay, all of these are various e-commerce platforms. E-commerce platforms that enable buying, selling, and distribution of goods. Okay? They enable buying, selling, and distribution of goods. Okay? So we have the e-retailing, and this refers to a place. The e-retailing refers to a place in the internet where direct retail shopping is done. Okay? It refers to a place on the internet, a virtual storefront, as it were, okay, where direct retail shopping is done. It ensures perfect interaction. How they can place their orders for products, okay? How they can place their orders for products. I believe you must have used Jumia. Yes, you must have used Jumia very well. I trust okay. You know, okay, all right. Why assuming? All right. Okay, let me assume. Because the reason why I said that is because virtually everyone here in Nigeria knows about what Jumia. Okay, knows about Jumia, and okay, all right, knows about Jumia, knows about Konga, knows about Alibaba, among others. Okay, and you know that there's a process involved in placing orders and receiving your orders. Okay, there's a process involved making orders and receiving your orders. Okay, all right. So we have the next one is electronic data interchange. Electronic data interchange. Okay, it is the exchange of data between one business and another. Electronic data interchange is the exchange of data between one business and another. For example, useful information about products and prices can be easily exchanged between buyers and sellers. Useful. There are. I hope you are aware that there are such engines that help to gather informations about 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 sites you visit on the internet. While on the internet, you visit some sites, okay, some retail sites. Let's say, for instance, now you go on Google and you click on you click on you click on phones. You click on phones, okay. Options will come up, and that your result will be stored, okay. It will be stored such that whenever you go on net again, suggestions will come up for you. Suggestions for phones will come up. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Another one is that you go on the internet and you click on money transfers. Okay? You go on the internet, you click on money transfers. What will come up? Suggestions will come up for you. Suggestions will come up for you. Financial institutions will come up for you. Industry should come up for you. Which of them would you want to use as a medium of transferring your funds? Okay? So, data interchange has to do with a collector of your data and moving it to where they are needed. And when it gets there, what happens? Suggestions will come up. Suggestions will come up. All of these are happening between buyers and sellers. And there are intermediaries worldwide that manage this process. All right. So the next one is, we are talking about the division of e-commerce. And we'll talk about the use of web. The web has to do with you gathering information, the use of the use of web, okay, it involves gathering information through web contacts and social media. You gather information, demographic information through the web and through the social media. Then we have the online marketplaces. There are various online marketplaces. Okay, online marketplaces like just like I mentioned before, Jumia and the rest of them, Konga and the likes. Okay, so types or categories of e-commerce. Types or categories of e-commerce. We have business to business, that's B2B. B2B simply means organizations doing business with each other, business to business. Okay? One business organization doing business with another business organization. And a typical example is manufacturers selling to distributors, wholesalers selling to retailers. Okay, and pricing is based on other quantities. Other, the quantity you order has to do with the quantity, the quantity of goods you order has a way of influencing your price. I believe you must have heard, you must have known that some manufacturing companies give discount, trade discount. They give trade discount. When you buy certain units of a particular product, just because you have been able to get that particular unit, what will you get? You will get discount for that. Okay, so pricing is based on quantities that you order, and they are often negotiable. Okay, they are often negotiable. Then we have business to consumers, B2C. B2C. B2C is when businesses are selling directly to the general public through catalogs. When they are selling directly to the general public through catalogs. Prices there can't be negotiable, can they? No, they can't. You pay the prices that you see there on the catalog, right? All right. So the next one is consumer to business. Consumer to businesses. There are instances where consumers make certain products or services available online. Okay, they make such services available online for businesses who might be interested in servicing that, who might be interested in the service. Okay, I'm interested in the service. There's a particular platform that allows for that. Elance, Elance, Helance, as in ELANCE, empowers consumers worldwide, okay, by providing a meeting ground where organizations can check out what consumers have on the platform, okay, which they can get involved with. Okay. What actually happens is that a consumer posts his project. A consumer posts his project on the platform and sets a budget for it. When he sets a budget for it, interested organizations visiting the site will review the project, right? When the project is reviewed, bids will be made. Bids, BIDS, bids will be made as to the amount of capital or the amount of funds they are willing to commit to the project. If the consumer deems it fit for, okay, the consumer will be left with we'll be left with choices, right? The consumer we have many choices to choose from. Whichever one he eventually goes for, he or she, the consumer eventually goes for, gets the business. Okay? So Elance provides that platform. Elance provides that platform. Then we have consumer to consumer. That's when you as a consumer, myself as a consumer, I come to you as a consumer and we do buying and selling of goods and services. You understand? That's C to C. Then G to G is government to government. Government also do business with other governments of the world. Okay? Very, very quite self-explanatory. Of course, you know it requires a whole lot of processes, so a whole lot of diplomatic negotiations. Okay, all right, diplomatic talks. Yes. Then we have business to employees, B2E. B2E is business to employees. Okay, business to employees. This is when businesses, businesses as in business as its on its own engages in sales to the employees of the organization. Sales to the employees of the organization. Okay, let's take for instance now a business that produces rice. Okay, now sells a particular quantity or make some make a particular quantity available for sale to the staff of the organization. And of course, you know that the sale, the price wouldn't be the same as if it were to be gotten from the main market, right? All right. So businesses also sell to employees. The next one is government to consumers. Government to consumers. Government involves in business activities with consumers directly. Although basically, what happens there is provision of basic services. It may not necessarily be for profit. It's not actually necessarily for profit. Okay, it's basically to provide the basic amenities that are needed. You understand? Then we have C2G, that's government to consumers to government. Consumers to government. Consumers to government is when the individuals engage in selling things to the government. Selling things to the government. How possible can that be? Have you thought of that possibility? All right, I will need you to just do a little research on that and find out what are those things that individuals sell to the government under C to G category of e-commerce. Okay, all right. So let's move to the next. Functions of e-commerce. Okay, we have better prices. It affords better prices. Yes, it affords better prices because in a situation whereby you make your orders directly from virtual storefronts of organizations, automatically the activities of middlemen are being eliminated. And with the elimination comes what? A reduction in the prices, in the cost of the items, right? E-commerce goes a long way to give you better prices. Okay. The next one is it brings convenience. It's a business of convenience, right? All right. It brings convenience. You could sit at the comfort of your home, make orders for whatever you want. You could sit at the comfort of your home and do window shopping without actually having to get to the physical store, right? You check as much as you can, then make your orders from there. And when you make your orders and you make your payment, what happens? Your products will be delivered to you. Okay, all right. So then we have lower overhead costs. Lower overhead costs. Okay, let me mention this. Are you aware that a bit diversion into cryptocurrency is a form of money anyway? Are you aware that Binance has a crypto exchange? So that's going to give you like an assignment. You got to find out what are cryptocurrencies, and you also have to find out what's. I hope I'm not advertising Binance. I hope I'm not advertising that. Okay. The owner of Binance, okay, runs as at about about a year ago. Let me say, I said a year ago because after he has been under stiff regulation, as in countries are looking, they are really like investigating into his business, as it were. Investigating doesn't necessarily mean the investigation is actually to regulate the business. But imagine someone running a multi-million-dollar organization without a physical store or without engaging in some major structural, uh, structural, um, structural. What do I use that word? Okay, the structural facilities, as in there are no actual structural facilities on ground for running the business, okay? Whereas it just at the comfort of whichever location it chooses, runs a multi-million dollar organization. But presently, economics, governments of governments and governments where this exchange operates have really developed keen interest, okay, seeking for ways to regulate, okay, to regulate its activities. So why did I bring that up? I brought that up because when you get into business, you want to go into any form of production, any form of service, and all of that. What will you do? The first thing that comes to your mind is we need a physical office, a standard physical location. And of course, you know what that means. It will make you incur a whole lot of costs, running costs, and those running costs have a way of have a way of causing increasing the cost of the items being produced or the cost of whatever service being made available, being rendered. So okay, so we have the next one is favorable competition. The internet is so big, it's so large to accommodate whatever you wish, provided you know the nitty-gritties, you know how to go about it. Do you understand? It's all about creating awareness. Do you understand? Then the next one is eliminate the use of cash. Of course, InterSwitch is a very good example. Through the platform, you can make transfers from one location to another, from one point to another. You can even do your online transactions using the platform to facilitate your payments and all of that. And the next one is elimination of the activities of middlemen. I mentioned that earlier when I said better prices, right? Okay. Then easy communication. Easy communication. While you are there on the internet, you see the products, you make your orders, there's what we call online support. Some organizations even have immediate response. Immediate response. No need for queues. No need for you to move from one place to the other before you can get your queries resolved. Do you understand? But all of these are happening right on the go. So it brings about easy communication, easy and direct communication, unfiltered communication. You understand? You speak directly and you get your response. Do you understand? Just at the comfort of your home. All right. So disadvantages of e-commerce. Okay, staff reduction, of course, of course. When organizations go electronic, of course, who are those that are going to bear that? The employees will bear that. There will be reduction in staff. You remember when ATM first came into Nigeria, it led to excuse me, it led to a reduction on the front desk, right? Right? So it led to a massive reduction because you don't necessarily have to go to your, excuse me, please. You don't necessarily have to go to the banking hall for transactions and all of that. As a matter of fact, you were encouraged to use your ATMs, right? And while you were being encouraged to use your ATMs, staff reduction was going on, right? Okay. And okay, so the next one is stiffer competition. It brings about stiffer competition. It's a battle of the best. Can you what do you have? How well can you reach? How fast can you fast track your reach? Yes. How fast can you fast track your reach? And what coverage can you make within a period of time? Do you understand? All right. So we have customer concerns. All right, customer concerns. Ordinarily, some customers just always feel like just taking a stroll, go to the physical store and just check and all of that, do all of those window shoppings and the likes. But with e-commerce, that will not be possible. That won't be possible. That's number one. Then the second part is the aspect of failed transactions. You understand? This thing is virtual. When money leaves your account, you get worried. Does it get to the other point? Right? All right. So all those things could bring a whole lot of concern. All of those things bring a whole lot of concerns. All right. Brings a whole lot of concerns. And I believe InterSwitch is a very good platform that really addresses that and ensures that customers with such concerns are well taken care of. Then we have e-commerce not easily accessible. Yes, e-commerce is not easily accessible because one, you rely on what? Internet. You rely on internet, and internet is not available everywhere. 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 All right. So especially in remote areas, in villages, and all of that. Some villages don't even have a phone connectivity, let alone having internet connectivity. All right. So, and the next one is goods may not meet the consumer satisfaction. Yes. Could imagine you ordering for a 12 12-inch TV, blue, and okay, no, a 50-inch TV, color blue, right? That was what you saw on the storefront, right? But by the time you got it delivered to you, it was another thing you saw. Understand? It could bring that sense of dissatisfaction to you, and at times it could be clothing you bought. You bought clothing. The texture of the clothing you saw was not actually what you actually. Texture of the clothing you saw on the internet, on the storefront, wasn't actually what was delivered to you when you eventually got it. So all of those things bring about dissatisfaction. Then computer illiteracy. Of course, not everyone is presently computer literate, right? That's very, very key. Except for your generation now, yes. Except for your generation now, they know that definitely they have no choice. They have to get acquainted. They need to learn it. They need to get involved with it, especially with the um, incoming incoming technological realities that will be evolving. You must have heard of metaverse, the virtual world, right? All of those things will require strong. All of those things will require a very good. It will require a very good computer literacy. Okay, you understand that. So that's one. Okay, all right. So let's do a bit of some. Could it be for? Okay, just in case. Okay, before we get to this, what we have just done so far has just been an overview of what is commerce and e-commerce. You must have heard this before. This is not your first time, I believe. And I believe questions have been popping up, right? Feel free to drop your questions whatever questions you have based on what has been discussed so far. Drop your questions, and they will be well attended to. Okay, they'll be well attended to. Okay, and I will need to um, suggest that you do more of answering pra- practice questions. Okay, do more of attempt more practice questions. Okay, I would recommend test drillers. Just go to Google Play Store, download it, and set it up on your device. You can attempt as many questions as possible. You could even set it to cover a particular topic. Okay, you set it to cover a particular topic, and that will help to fast track your 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 learning process and your preparation for your upcoming exams. Okay, all right. So let's attempt some questions now. Let's attempt some questions. Some questions. Tourism involving residents of the given country traveling only within this country is called dash. What that means is tourism involving residents of a given country, traveling only within this country is called dash. Okay, we have outbound tourism, we have domestic tourism, we have travelers tourism, and we have inbound tourism. Okay, the right answer there should be domestic tourism. Domestic tourism. Domestic tourism. So domestic tourism is what? Domestic tourism involves residents of a given country traveling only within the country. Say, for instance, in Nigeria, a Nigerian going to Obudukatu Ranch in Calabar, that is what we call what? Domestic tourism. A Nigerian based in Imo State traveling to Abeokuta Olumo Rock to explore the beauty of Olumo Rock, that is what? Domestic tourism. So domestic tourism involves residents of a given country traveling only within this country. All right, so that's that. Then number two is examples of commercial occupation are all the following except except dash. Examples of commercial occupation are all the following except dash. We have banking, insurance, traders, and goldsmith. Goldsmith. Mind you, banking is what is a commercial activity, an aid to trade. Insurance is a commercial activity, an aid to trade. Traders, okay, traders are what? Involved in what? Trading activity. They are involved in trade, right? Goldsmith, on the other hand, goldsmith there, goldsmith. Can we say goldsmith is a commercial occupation? Okay. So the answer there is what? Both Smith. Because commercial occupation are those activities involved in the distribution and exchange of goods and services. Banking involves activities that enhance distribution and exchange of goods and services. Insurance also is involved there. Trading is involved there. But the part, Goldsmith, is not involved in distribution and exchange of goods and services. All right. So the next one is, what are examples of consumer goods? Examples of consumer goods. Examples of consumer goods. So what do we have here? Consumer goods are goods and services that can satisfy the consumer's immediate needs, right? These goods do not require further process of production for their use by the consumers, right? Consumer goods are goods and services that can satisfy the consumer's immediate needs. Okay? These goods do not require further process of production for their use by the consumers. Okay, let's now see. Cars are not consumer goods, but capital goods, right? And capital goods are alternately known as intermediate or producer goods. These goods are deployed by organization as input in the production of consumer goods. So that means that cars are used, are deployed, are gotten in order for the purpose of what? Further production of other goods, right? So you get that point there. So capital goods are goods that are used for further production of other goods. They are known as intermediate or producer goods. Okay, let's take it from here. So such as examples are plant and machinery, equipment, furniture, vehicles, office building. Okay. Moreover, these goods are depreciated over its life years, and so the business can claim partial tax reduction accordingly. So what you need to take from here is that consumer goods are goods for immediate consumption, right? Immediate consumption. Their consumption, their possession and their consumption means their possession and their usage means the completion of the process, of the production process. Okay, while capital goods are goods that are needed for further production. They are known as intermediate or producer goods. They facilitate other production of goods and services. So in this case now, the answer there should be what? Cars. Examples of consumer goods include all except what? Cars. So number 4 is a company which another company is a member and control the board of directors or hold more than half of its equity is termed dash. A company which another company is a member and controls the board of directors or hold more than half of its equity. Hold more than half of its equity is known as what? Let's see. Subsidiary is a company in which a holding firm has controlling interest by acquiring more than 51% of its shares. So in this case here, our answer will be what? B, which is subsidiary. Okay? Which Number five, which of these is a document used in international trade? Which of these is a document used in international trade? We have the invoice, the credit note. Oh, we have two credit notes there. One's supposed to be debit note, while the other is price ring. The answer there should be what? Hey, invoice. Invoice is one of the six main documents sent to the where? To the importer. Okay? The invoice will state in details the nature, the quality, quantity, and price of the goods making up the consignment. Making up the consignment. Okay, so the invoice is the correct one there. Okay. The next one is one of these is not part of small scale retailers. One of these is not part of small scale retailers. We have urban stores, we have the itinerant traders, we have roadside traders, and we have supermarkets. The right option there is supermarkets. Let's see why. Supermarket is an example. Supermarket is an example of large scale retailers. Example of large scale retailers. An example of large scale retailers. All right, so the rest shall be made available. Okay, we have a, okay. Number seven is you have just bought a new car. What insurance policy will you take to cover it? You have just bought a new car. What insurance policy will you take to cover it? The A is fire insurance, B is fidelity guarantee insurance, C is accident insurance, D is marine insurance. The right answer there is what? The accident insurance. Okay, let's see why. Okay. Accident insurance provides for compensation against injuries or hazards. Accident insurance provides for compensation against injuries or hazards which may be okay, which which an individual could suffer. Okay, an individual or group of persons would suffer. Okay, accidents involve accident insurance involves oh, sorry. Accident insurance provides for. Sorry about the typographical error. That's why I'm seeing I'm taking it again. Accident insurance involves provides compensation against injuries or hazards which individuals or group of people could suffer. Okay, it covers motor vehicle insurance as well. All right. So, okay, just a minute. All right, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Needed to sort out some things. All right, so number 8, we have booklets containing a range of products. Their uses and prices are called dash. Booklets containing a range of products. Their uses and prices are called dash. A is price journal. B is handbill. C is catalog. D is posters. Okay, what should be the right answer there? Right answer there is C, catalog. Let's see what that means. Let's see that. Okay. Catalog is a type of advertisement ideal for manufacturers in other countries or towns. What does it do? It enables consumers to know about products and to order for them. The catalog enables consumers to know about products, any kind of product whatsoever. In this case, we have it enables consumers to know about such products and to order or request for them. Okay, so catalog helps you to know more about a product and to make orders for such products as you is deem fit. All right. So the next one is advantages of pipeline transportation. Okay. Advantages of pipeline transport include all except dash. Advantages of pipeline transport include all the following except dash. A is low maintenance cost. B is it is prone to attacks. C is continuous flow of goods. D is safe. Advantages of pipeline transport. Is it safe? Does it allow continuous flow of goods? Is it prone to attacks? Does it have low maintenance cost? So, among the options there, all are advantages except one, which is what it is prone to attacks. Okay, we have pipeline transportation can be prone to leakages and unauthorized tapping by the people, as is the case in the Niger Delta. Okay, all right. Number 10, services are made up of dash. Services are made up of dash. A is direct and indirect services, goods and services, commerce and industry, visible and invisible. All right. The right answer there is A, direct and indirect services. Let's see what that is. All right. So services are made up of direct services and indirect services. Direct services are services that you 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 are personally involved with. Okay. All right. Let's just okay. Let's go. Okay. Okay. How many questions do we have here? I think we have just 3 more questions to go. Our time is actually up. But let's rush over the next 3 questions. Let's rush them over. Rush them over. All right. Number 12. All activities that contribute toward making goods and services available to the people are dash. A is economic activities, B is business activities, C is productive activities, D is political activities. Okay, so what then is the answer? We have people are always producing goods and services, right? And because people are always producing goods and services, what happens? Production activities takes place. So in view of that, that means that what? The right answer there should be what? Productive activities. Productive activities. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is where we are going to stop for the Play Store. If you have anyone you are very, very much comfortable with, anyone that addresses the various topics and gives you explanations to your answers and all of that, you can, of course, make good use of them. But I will recommend you make use of test drillers. Okay, it's quite very, very, it helps with your practice and your timing as well. Okay, so I will drop further practice exercises after the class. So just check your Google Classroom for any other information regarding that. Thank you. And if you have any question, do well to any question, any observation whatsoever, do well to drop them and they will be properly attended to. Thank you very much and do have a nice day.